everybody, and welcome back to Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. My name is Trent. I'm your host today, but of course, sitting here right across the table from me is the one and only Betsy.
There is only one of me. I'm like Tigger in that regard.
That's right.
The wonderful thing about Betsy is that Betsy's a wonderful thing.
I've heard that about you. Right out the gate, apologies if we sound sick. And the reason we sound sick is because, hey, we're sick. We've been sick for about a week now.
It's that time of the year. The seasons are changing and it got us.
Yeah, not the flu. It's just a cold.
But that will not stop us from recording the podcast.
Right.
This is for you, the people.
Podcasts never die. They never get sick. They just, I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know. I've thought about, just to go off on a completely different tangent here, I've thought about, or we've discussed, what would we do if we wanted to take a week off or a month off?
That's crazy talk right there.
I know. I haven't even considered
You won't let us consider it.
No, I haven't considered it seriously, but we've had the discussion before. And honestly, I think what we would do is just take something really old from the Patreon and just throw it up for a week. But I don't think I could forgive myself for taking a week off because we've never, ever missed an episode.
They've been late before, but we've never missed one.
We had a reason for them to be late before.
Right.
Yeah, I think there was one time we had to be a full day late because of when we were able to see the movie, and there have been a handful of occasions where I literally forgot to schedule the episode to post at 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
That's just a human error.
That's just my fault. We did the episode. It's there, but...
It's done. It's edited.
Anyway,
someone
Betsy,
didn't schedule it.
We are here for a reason, and that reason is we're watching bad movies for the rest of the month of March. And I'm hosting today's episode because I'm showing Betsy a movie that I've only seen one time, and one time was enough. But we're watching a movie that is a prequel / sequel / spin-off of a pair of movies that Betsy adores. That being the duo of movies that came out in the late 90s and early 2000s, The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. We're watching The Scorpion King.
I have avoided this movie for 23 years.
Yeah.
And I've been actively avoiding it for the 13 that we've been together, I guess almost 14.
Yeah, this has been on the list, and I mean the list that we created for this podcast from like day one.
And I've been putting it off, and I've been delaying, and you will allow me no more delays.
That's right.
We're doing it.
We've been putting off doing a bad movie series forever, and here we are. Betsy, what do you know about The Scorpion King, and why haven't you wanted to see it?
Okay, so we have to start with the important factor. This is a spin-off of a sequel of a remake of the Mummy series.
That's right. The original Mummy was like from the 1930s or something.
Right. So
Fuck.
the 99 version of the Mummy was a remake. And that came out when I was 14 years old, and it was extremely formative for me. It is one
in
of
a
the
lot
movies,
of different ways, I'm sure.
It is one of the movies I have seen more than any other. Last year, when they re-released it for its 25th anniversary, I told you, you can stay at home if you want, but I am going to see the Mummy in the theater.
Our local theater put it up on the screen for the 25-year anniversary.
Oh,
and
it was
of course,
a national
we went.
event, Trent.
I know that, but it was our local theater that did it.
So that to say, I have a very particular soft spot for The Mummy. So of course, when The Mummy Returns came out, no different. I went to that on opening day. My sister drove. I didn't even have a driver's license, but I was like, I'm not missing this. We're going to the movie.
That was 2001?
That was 2001.
Yeah.
And The Mummy Returns was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's very first movie, if memory serves.
Yes, it was.
And as I recall, The Scorpion King is his first starring movie?
Yes, it actually came out the year after
Because it came out in
Returns.
2002,
Yeah.
the year that keeps on giving, Trent. We have covered more movies from 2002 than any other single year, I think, on this podcast.
Than any other year that isn't like a current year where we're watching like Oscar movies.
The one that we just keep finding more movies from. It's 2002.
is the gift that keeps on giving for this podcast.
I don't know if I'm going to call this one a gift because
it's content.
As I said, The Scorpion King, spin-off movie of The Mummy Returns. You and I actually just rewatched The Mummy Returns.
We did.
And all you kept saying was, this movie's bad. And I went,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. But I don't give a shit.
Don't get me wrong, though. I really like The Mummy. And Betsy will say, I would estimate, maybe you would dispute this. I would estimate you could probably recite 80% of the dialogue.
I think
from
I could.
The first Mummy movie.
I could do 80% verbatim of The Mummy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have seen it that many times.
I can't do it as much for The Mummy Returns. I've not watched that nearly as many times, but I was quoting along with it as we were watching it.
And that being said, The Mummy Returns is fucking horseshit.
Compared to The Mummy.
Compared to The Mummy, yes, it is awful.
It has moments. I enjoy it because I saw it when I was 16. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. I love The Mummy Returns. And at the end of the movie, there is a big climactic battle with the Scorpion King. And that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because he's in like the prologue at the beginning, kind of setting up what his significance to the movie is. And then he's, quote, at the end. But this is 2001, which means he's entirely CG, and it looks fucking terrible. And it looks
as a
terrible.
giant, stupid-ass scorpion monster
scorpion.
thing. Yeah.
He's half a man and half a scorpion. But he shows up completely CGI, and it looked terrible in 2001. It looks even worse in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And they almost immediately after that movie, when they're trying to make The Rock a movie star, greenlit The Scorpion King. They said The Mummy was a big hit. The Mummy Returns, while not being as good a movie, was still a big hit. It wasn't as major a hit to allow them to make the third one for some years.
This is going to be another vehicle for a big action star, and it is a huge moneymaker because, Betsy, let me tell you, they made 5, count them, 5 Scorpion King movies.
There are more Scorpion King movies than there are Mummy movies, and that's fucking insane.
That is insane.
That is insane because by all accounts, they're all shit. And
yes.
I will probably have more to say about this after watching the movie, but The Rock was just The Rock. He was not Dwayne Johnson. He was still kind of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
He wasn't, he wasn't even Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
He was just The Rock.
He was just The Rock.
Okay, so this is very, very early days.
Yeah.
And while I'm not going to come out here and say he is a good actor, even 25 years on.
No.
But I have to imagine he's very green in this movie, meaning he's bad.
Yeah, and even think about a guy like Vin Diesel. We watched all of the Fast and Furious movies. We've even seen some of his movies outside of the franchise. You would never call Vin Diesel a good actor, but he's at least a little charismatic. You can see why they cast him in these movies.
So that's what I'm most curious about, if anything, in this is how charismatic is The Rock? Because obviously he was a megastar in wrestling. I knew who The Rock was before he started making movies because even though I didn't watch wrestling, I'm not stupid. I knew who he was. He was everywhere. As far as the actual movie, I don't fucking know. He's a warrior king, and it's a prequel to the events of The Mummy Returns.
Okay, you didn't answer my other question, though. Why didn't you see this movie in 2002? It was relating to one of your favorite franchises.
Because I didn't give a shit. I don't really know. I think it was just the fact I didn't care about The Rock, and I heard it was bad, and it looked bad.
Okay.
That, and if you saw The Mummy Returns and you saw what the Scorpion King was in that movie, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in the idea of a spin-off.
It maybe just turn you off that, oh, that's what I'm going to get in a spin-off thing? I don't want to have anything to do with that.
And it was fine in like a small dose, but I wasn't really mentally or emotionally prepared for a full-length movie about this guy because I still considered him The Rock, the wrestler, the guy who doesn't know how to act because he's just getting started. Why would I want to watch that? It doesn't matter that it's related to The Mummy because I saw him in The Mummy Returns.
This is also a very early example of Hollywood wanting to make a villain origin story.
Right, that's another reason, because we hadn't gotten to the era yet where it's like, okay, you were the villain in that movie, now you're the hero of this one.
Why should I care? Yeah.
So we'll probably have a lot more to elaborate on that particular topic, but all reasons that I've just never wanted to watch it, don't care, and yet here we are.
Here we are, Betsy. We're going to go and watch The Scorpion King from 2002. We will be right back. And that was The Scorpion King. Betsy, are you going to bow down to this movie?
Oh, hell no. No. Yeah, this is a movie that exists. It is not unwatchable, but it's not a good movie. This is the kind of thing that I've brought up many times before, where it feels like there was some kind of a spec script that existed that had nothing to do with The Mummy, and they were kind of already working on it. And then they said, hey, we're going to make a movie about the Scorpion King. Why don't we just take this script and slap the Scorpion King on it?
And can we get a little bit more budget to hire The Rock? Because somebody told me that he wants to make movies.
And they've got some like known actors in this movie. Every couple of minutes, I was like, oh, look, someone else I recognize. I could not have told you before we watched this any of them were in it.
Uh-huh. That's why I didn't ask.
But it is otherwise just the most generic action movie, predictable action sequences. I was like looking in one scene, they're in a cave and there's sand coming down like a waterfall, but it's a sand fall. And I said, he's behind there, right? And then an arm comes out and grabs people. I was like, yeah, like I said. And then when it's not doing that, it's doing like weird slapstick comedy where he's being fired with a catapult out a window an obscenely long way that he couldn't actually make.
He's making like silly faces with his eyes and just mugging for the camera.
It's like, is this a goofy, silly comedy? Is this an action movie? What is this?
Yeah, and I don't really know if any of the silly stuff was put in here on purpose or if it is, reminiscent of the Mummy movies. I honestly don't think that there's much of any kind of through line here as far as the tone.
I think they're definitely trying to draw from those like 1930s serialized action movies. Like there are stuff in here that is straight out of Indiana Jones. Like genuinely, there are some set pieces and action sequences that I'm like, well, they did that in Indiana Jones and now they're doing it in this. Well, that's because Indiana Jones is drawing from something else too.
Yeah, but there are literal scenes like from Temple of Doom where he's got the big ass gong.
Right, and behind it, yeah.
And it's rolling out of the room and he's following it.
Right, but again, that's probably something from those kind of movies in the 1930s. So they're trying to draw from a lot of different places for this movie, and none of it really works. But as I said, it's not unwatchable. Like some of it, it's just like, ha, this is dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah, I had a much better time watching this movie than I did Gigli and some of the other really bad movies I've watched. This is eminently watchable.
Yes.
And to have a good time watching if you're not taking it too seriously.
And I'm not taking it seriously. I just know that it's also not for me, this movie.
Yeah. So that's your initial reaction here. What did you think about The Rock? Because he is just The Rock in this movie, and fucking Vince McMahon is an executive producer on this movie because he was allowed to use the Rock name because that's owned by the WWE.
And this was when he was kind of still doing both, where they were trying to make him a movie star, but he was still wrestling. Like, okay, he's not terrible in this movie. He's not good.
He's
like,
not
by
good.
any means. They have not given him an easy assignment. On the surface, it seems like this is just a big, dumb action movie. But then there's this whole, like, mythology, and there's characters, and, like, kings, and sorcerers, and conquerors, and he has to speak in this weird, elevated language that sounds so stilted and strange coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, I kind of blame the script for this, and he's not allowed to be himself at all. Like, there are some moments here where he is allowed to be a little bit playful, but it doesn't really fit with the character. But as long as I'm talking about character here, there's zero character development of anybody. Down to the fact that they literally have a character thrown in here as Mr. Comic Relief.
Yeah, what is his deal? He's there to be funny. He's there to lighten the mood and get, shaken around by The Rock once in a while. Like, he punches him in the head. Ha, isn't that funny?
And he gets to be the hero at the very end of the movie because he possibly is going to sacrifice himself to throw the fire on the dynamite.
Yeah, you know that guy has an Oscar? I'm pretty sure that guy has an Oscar. Grant
I think
Heslov.
you're right. I think you're right.
He's in cahoots with George Clooney, and I'm pretty sure he's like one of his producers or something. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy has an Oscar now.
And by the way, we're going to see him in a Broadway show here in a couple of months.
I'm pretty sure that guy's also in it too. Yeah, anyway. But he doesn't really have a whole lot to do. You get the guy who was Theoden King, as you kept referring to him. He is in this movie just as an eccentric inventor of some kind. You've got this woman who is a sorceress. And of course, before they introduce her character, it's just like, oh, I'm going to kill the sorcerer. And he's sneaking into this tent. And I was like, it's going to be a hot babe, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be a hot babe, right?
You see her from behind, and she's wearing this huge garb that is completely covering her up.
And they have not explained who this person is. They've not given them a name. You've not seen them. I was like, I know these kinds of movies. It has to be a really hot woman. And she turns around in slow motion, and her tits are out, and it's just like, yep, that's the kind of movie we're watching.
I mean, for fuck's sake, Betsy, this movie is such a movie for teenage boys.
Yes.
Because the people who are going to see the movie are not the Mummy people. They're not your people.
No, they're the WWE
the Rock people.
Yeah.
So what do you do to entertain teenage boys? You put a bunch of tits in it. Seriously, when they're roaming through Gomorrah, how many fucking whores are lined up just as eye candy for everybody? I mean, it's embarrassing that they felt that they needed to do such a thing and stoop down to the lowest common denominator of a fucking wrestling fan. And I'm going to say, I count myself as one of these, at least back in the late 90s. I watched the WCW when I was in junior high, and not a year past that. So I was at least aware of this stuff.
But you knew who The Rock was.
Of course.
And
I would swap back and forth, but I was a WCW kid.
But you were amongst this target demographic.
Of course. And I watched this movie in like fucking 2004, 2005. I have not seen this movie for over 20 years.
So explain to me then, because we didn't talk about this in the intro, the circumstances through which you watched this movie, because you were not as familiar with the Mummy series as I was.
Definitely not, but I did watch the first two Mummy movies.
Did you see them before you saw The Scorpion King?
Oh, yeah. I might have even seen the second one in the theater, if I'm not wrong. I could not tell you. It's been too long. But I feel like I rented Scorpion King at some time in like 04, 05. Not because I was like way into the lore of the Mummy or anything, or even The Rock. It was just a movie to watch.
And it's the kind of movie targeted for that market. Like, hey, look, here's an action movie you can pick up at the store, video store in those days.
Yeah, and by that time, it'd be like a $5 DVD.
Yeah. But that's the kind of mood that is all over this, because I cannot separate myself as a lover of the Mummy movies. And this has absolutely nothing to do with anything in The Mummy or The Mummy Returns.
No.
To the degree the movie starts in the snowy mountains, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Isn't this movie supposed to be, I don't know, in Egypt?
In the desert?
In the desert?
Yeah.
And so that's the opening sequence, and there's like Vikings, ? Or some kind of brutal tribesmen. Like, they don't really explain who they are. And then they just throw out a lot of like other names, like Mesopotamians and this and that, and people who would have been living in the area. But the overall movie, it is set in a nondescript time and a nondescript place.
It just says in the voiceover, it was a time before the pyramids. That's the only indicator as to what time this takes place.
But it's not in Egypt, as far as I can tell.
It's not.
It is not full of any of the lore or anything that they have set up in the two previous Mummy movies. And you have to address that when this is clearly a spin-off of The Mummy Returns.
Yeah, and what was good about the first two Mummy movies is that there is some semblance of historical fact.
They use
or at
some
least
names.
The lore or the myths of the era. And you knew about that because you studied that.
Yes, I did.
In college, yeah. So you appreciated those movies for what they were a lot more. There's none of that in this, except, apparently, according to the IMDb trivia, back in the mid-90s, some Egyptologists did find some reference to a scorpion king that eventually they think became like one of the first pharaohs. So I feel like they're just extrapolating a very, very tiny, minute thing from real history to extrapolate all of this shit.
And if I'm remembering my own interest in the subject, yes, I do remember that being a thing. And I can see, all right, we have this legend, let's make a whole story of it, fine. If you want to use it in the context of The Mummy Returns, cool. But I'm thinking of it as a movie person.
Sure.
Where I have seen The Mummy Returns so many times, and they have set up a specific lore. And we touched on it in the intro, where the Scorpion King is taking over Egypt, or the lands that would become Egypt.
Yeah.
And he's being defeated. He's about to die. And he prays to the god Anubis to save him. Setting up in the Scorpion King in this standalone movie, he doesn't seem to be from this area. He doesn't seem to be someone who is religious in this way. Why would someone not from here pray to a god that isn't his? Like, there's a big leap I'm trying to make from the prequel, which is what this is, to The Mummy Returns.
Betsy?
And you said he's a fucking villain in that one.
Uh-huh. And Betsy, I'm going to answer your question. It's not that kind of a movie.
I don't give a flying fuck, Trent. It's bothersome to me as a fan of The Mummy, which is why I put off watching this movie, because looking at this movie in the trailers and watching this movie, this has fucking nothing to do with The Mummy or The Mummy Returns. He just happens to be the same guy, quote unquote. But there's no similarity to the characters because, of course, he's speaking English in this one.
Yep.
He's the hero in this one. How the fuck we get from here to he's conquering the world and now he must be destroyed? I don't know how we make that leap.
It's because The Rock needs to be a leading man. That's why.
And you also said we weren't doing the whole let's make a villain origin story at this point.
Right. If we were already making those kinds of movies, maybe they would have had something to really grow off of with that concept. But in this case, you're right. This is a generic-ass action movie that just happens to have a semblance of a resemblance. That's a really strange thing to say, but it does resemble those first two movies because of the setting, because of the garb and everything like that. Story-wise, it has nothing to do with it.
It doesn't even resemble it in the setting and the garb. Like, this is very different costuming and different vibe. Now, I will give you, if we're talking like tribesmen and more like wandering through the desert, they're gonna have different clothing than the pharaohs and the pharaoh's guards and stuff. But it just feels so far removed, so different, that I don't feel like I'm watching anything that has to do with those movies to begin with.
All right, well, we will explore further, but first, we are going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. We will be right back.
Feeling run down, lethargic, a little bloated?
Yes, oh God, yes.
Well, have I got the prescription for you?
Oh no, not another pill. I take enough of those that I find in the dumpster behind the Burger King.
Oh no, it's better than any dumpster pills. It's patreon.com/neverseenitpod.
I'm interested. Tell me more.
It's premium content from those jokers at Never Seen It. They have 4 other weekly shows, plus bonuses.
I've heard of those guys. They're like super talented and funny.
And sexy. Don't forget sexy.
Oh, then I'll definitely check them out. Thanks, disembodied voice.
Anytime.
So, of course, Betsy, we're covering The Scorpion King in our bad movie series because it's a bad movie. There were times during this movie that I could see maybe a little bit more coming out of the screen, in that, you know, some of the fights were okay. Some of the action scenes were okay, but I kept on getting distracted by a whole lot of other bullshit. How are you feeling as far as like the quality overall
I think it's unimaginative in most cases because they're trying to do so many cliche things that like it's like they had a list of we're making this kind of a movie and we need to check all of these boxes. So we need to find ways to work them in. And it's just cram more and more and more.
Yeah.
And the movie's only like 90 minutes, like barely over 90 minutes.
Betsy, there's a little bit of a trivia here that I need to point out now because you said that. The original cut, after they came through and did all the edits and they made the movie that they wanted to make, the original cut was 70 minutes long.
They added to this movie.
They had to go back and shoot more footage to pad the movie. I'm not kidding.
As I said, it's like they have a list and they're just trying to fill the screen with something.
Yeah, I feel like like you said, there is a list somewhere of other movies that they seem to be cribbing from, and they're just checking boxes here, and they thought, well, we checked all the boxes. We told the story that we wanted to tell. What else do we need to do? Well, maybe you need to have a character arc. Maybe you need to have some development of any of the side characters. Maybe you need to give people names that I can remember. Maybe you should make the audience give a shit.
And it's not like they couldn't have done it. They have a setup. The opening scene of the movie, he's rescuing his brother.
Yeah.
And then his brother dies tragically. You could do something there. Like,
this is a revenge tale.
It's an emotional moment. It's an emotional movie. But he's not going after this guy, this Memnon guy, because of revenge for killing his brother. He's going after him because he was hired to kill him. And
he's an assassin.
And he's an assassin, and it's to free the people. Why didn't we make it a revenge movie? That's more interesting. I'd understand his motivation, but he's just a stone cold killer who has to get him at whatever cost.
But as soon as he escapes from the fire ant thing, when he's with Mr. Comic Relief, he even says, I'm going to go after this guy because he killed my brother. Well, then he changes his motivation later because I'm the assassin. I got hired. This is what I'm going to do because it's my job. And I'm maybe the last of my kind, so whatever.
And that too, like he's the last living Acadian.
Acadian, yeah.
This society that is dying out. And we just watched his whole group get axed around him. So now you're alone and you're an assassin and your brother died and this guy is evil and taking over the world. Could we put some kind of feeling behind what we're doing?
Maybe it's just because Mr. The Rock didn't really have the range to pull it off, Betsy. Honestly, that might be what it is. You saw him act in this movie. You saw the fact that there is basically zero emotion behind anything other than when he's like getting shot in the back and like stabbed with an arrow and him just reacting and putting his hair back and going, ah.
His strength as a performer is comedy, actually. Strangely. The thing he's really good at is he's very charismatic. So when you let him...
not in this movie.
Not in this movie, but in the moments where you let him like be surrounded by beautiful women and he pops out the eyebrow. He has to do the fucking eyebrow. It's his signature.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of funny. And you have a moment of, haha, that's the guy we enjoy watching. But the rest of the time, he's not serious. He's not passionate. He's just, must swing the sword, me rock.
Yeah, you also have to have these like cliche action movie moments where like at the beginning when he's invading this fucking hut and he has to come in with a big entrance.
Okay, literally he's dragging a boulder behind him and I said, it's The Rock.
Hey, it's The Rock from the movie.
That's the guy.
But he comes in this fucking steam and smoke and whatever, and he has some of the cheesiest like action movie lines. Literally here in this scene, when he shows up, he goes, boo.
His first line of the movie.
Word out of his mouth as a real actor is boo. What? And at the very end of the movie, when he has his big finish where he's going to shoot the bad guy and he's going to fly off the edge of the building, he goes, catch this.
Because earlier in the movie, they had a training sequence where the bad guy caught an arrow.
Yeah.
So explain to me how we are shown earlier in the movie that this bad guy can just catch arrows out of midair. And then at the end of the movie, he can't do it. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's because he has a much bigger bow, Betsy.
That's it?
Yeah, he's much stronger.
He's the Rock
yes.
with big muscles and a big bow.
They're not that big in this movie, Betsy.
His muscles or the bow?
His muscles are not that big in this movie.
He's like normal size, slightly above average Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Sized. Yeah.
He's not the behemoth that he is known to be now.
That he becomes, yes, where his fucking neck muscles, like you can't even get a shirt around.
No, he can't turn his head. His neck's so big.
No, good God, man.
Okay, but you're saying he can do it and the guy can't catch the arrow because he's got a big bow. But they don't talk about that either. There's that missing information. Like, you had to add to this movie. We couldn't have added tiny little bit more exposition to tell us this bow is magic or something. You know,
No.
Like he's a trained assassin, fine. But could we talk about why this bow is special?
It's not a special bow. It's just because, hey, if it's bigger, you pull it back longer, it can go faster.
Okay, but
that's all.
Also, that guy just fucking stood there and took that arrow. He could have moved.
He had hubris, Betsy.
He could have run away.
It was his hubris that killed him.
The evil British man, because that's what they always are in these movies.
Who's actually Scottish.
Who's actually Scottish, stood there and took an arrow for reasons.
Hubris, come on. But we haven't talked about a lot of the other people in this. First of all, Michael Clark Duncan, R.I.P. to the man, the only black man on a Harley in Kadoka, South Dakota, from one of the stupidest fucking movies in existence, Armageddon. We love that line in this state because Kadoka is in South Dakota.
Shut up, Armageddon's awesome. You're just jealous.
I love Armageddon. I don't care what anybody says. Anyway, Michael Clark Duncan.
Coming off an Oscar nomination, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was like 98?
99, I think. 99, I think The Green Mile came out.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah, you're right. But yeah, he got nominated for an Oscar, and he was getting some work for sure. But, I mean, I guess The Rock had to have a buddy? Is he like his Little John?
You needed a guy who is physically bigger than The Rock for him to fight. And he is one of the few actors that met the brief, I suppose.
Yeah. But I mean, I just mentioned Little John. Did you also get almost a Robin Hood vibe from this as well, where you have him on a quest to get revenge for his brother's murder, but he still has a job to do. And in the beginning, he doesn't care about the people, but then he does. And he's the little man standing up against the armies and this guy. And I don't know. I got the vibe.
Listen, I don't think you're making that big a leap because it is, the underdog fighting injustice, rising up, being a hero to the people. Like, I get it. There's a Maid Marian of sorts.
Yeah, I kind of got those vibes too.
Yeah, I think you're also giving the movie vastly too much credit.
I'm not.
But I see where you're going with that. Yes, there are certain tropes, and I think that is just because Robin Hood is such a template that has been used for other properties.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, it didn't help that the guy who played Sheriff Rottingham from Men in Tights is the old man at the beginning of the movie who got murdered. His head was chopped off.
Maybe that's why I planted the idea in your head.
And I started to make the
because
connections.
I said, hey, did you notice that
Sheriff
guy
Rottingham?
was in Men in Tights?
But anyway, Michael Clark Duncan, I got no problem with him being in the movie. I mean, he's got to get a paycheck.
Yeah, he's fine. Like, he does drag in this movie.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
I mean, he was more comic relief than Mr. Comic Relief.
And, of course, he had to have a fight with The Rock. As I said, he's bigger than The Rock.
Yeah, and this scene in particular, it's when his group finds The Rock and his band of merry men out in the desert. They bring him back to this hidden compound. And Betsy, this scene right here of them fighting is just a wrestling match.
Yeah, there's no weapons. They're just kind of throwing their bodies against whatever's around.
But they do have weapons to begin with, because you remember at the very beginning, they clash swords and they break.
Oh, yeah, they needed a reason for them to wrestle.
Exactly. Exactly. So they had to get all the deadly weapons out of there. They break them. They start punching each other, throwing each other around this arena. And near the end of the fight, Michael Clarke Duncan reaches for something that is illegal. And the kid in the background says, "That's not fair. You can't use a weapon." It's like in a wrestling match when the bad guy goes underneath the ring to get a steel chair and he brings it in the ring and he hits him with it. That's what I was getting here.
It's really too bad they couldn't find a way to work in someone smashing a chair over a head.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't find a way to do that. But there were definitely things in here where you're like, oh, he's doing a wrestling move. Like, in that opening sequence, he's like on a table and he kind of flings his body.
There's even some stuff in here where Michael Clarke Duncan gets up and he's like fucking showboating for the crowd. There's people booing because you're the guy who's kicking the ass of my friend or my favorite wrestler in this case. So just the way they made that is so fucking cheesy. If you know anything about wrestling, you can recognize that immediately.
And it doesn't need to be in here, but you also understand why they put it in here.
Yeah, and this is also them coming together. The Rock can prove that, yes, he's got some chops, but he's also not there to kill people. He's there to really help people. He realizes that he wants to be the good guy.
It's the scene when Little John will not let Robin Hood cross the bridge.
Yep.
If a toll's a toll and a roll's a roll, and if we don't get no tolls, then we don't need no rolls.
Can you tell we like Men in Tights, guys? You should go and watch it if you haven't. Oh my God.
We should do that one for our movie club.
That's another conversation. Another thing that I could not get past, and I know this movie is pretty generic in general, so I can kind of take any kind of inspiration from this, but I was getting total Assassin's Creed vibes, not just the games, but the Assassin's Creed movie that we covered like 2 years ago. And I will say, this movie is a better Assassin's Creed movie than the Assassin's Creed movie.
Agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
That movie fucking sucks.
That movie was irredeemable. This one at least is vaguely entertaining. But I also understand, to an extent, I'm not as familiar with Assassin's Creed as you are.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of sneaking around and a lot of parkour and a lot of gadgets and
Betsy, I made a list. All of the Assassin's Creed stuff. I mean, he is an assassin, so it makes sense.
Right, and maybe that's all it is you already have the seed planted. He's a trained assassin from generations of assassins.
But check this out. It is him skulking around everywhere, especially in that first scene in the dark. He's climbing up on the tent, which you even said, you can't climb up on a tent. He's just that good.
It's a fucking tent.
In the other Assassin's Creed games, there is an inventor that gives you fucking tools.
I feel like that's most of the games, isn't it?
It is. And each one of them is a different guy. Da Vinci is one of them in a lot of them.
You also need a character like that in these kinds of movies so that you can do things that don't make sense in the historical context.
Yes,
because
Theoden got the idea from the Chinese to make dynamite.
Yeah, he is a forward thinker and a world explorer, and we're just going to use what they maybe had. Don't think too hard about it.
When they're in this sand pit, which I gotta say, I fucking screamed. I loved when the guys fell into the quicksand because, again, little boys loving their quicksand.
We all thought it would be a much more prominent problem in our lives.
That's right. But hey, this movie just proves it. But in this cave, you mentioned it before, there's this sand waterfall coming down. He's grabbing people from behind there and pulling them in. Then another guy's like stab through the waterfall, and he just grabs them from below and pulls them in. And the final thing, of course, is him climbing the goddamn castle walls at the end of the movie.
Scaling the walls and getting to the high ground.
Yeah. Not to mention like all of the different fight scenes that he's doing with these swords, because that's all you have in those Assassin's Creed games is swords and knives.
So touching on that fight scene that you were just talking about, where there's a sandstorm outside, there's a convenient cave, and he lures all the bad guys who are chasing them into this cave and is just assassinating them all one at a time. And he's just running around in the dark.
Yeah.
It is fucking absurd. Like, he has somehow managed in a few moments to rig up like elaborate ropes and pulley systems.
Yeah, he's got traps everywhere.
They're being grabbed from above and dropped from the ceiling, and you just see him going boop, 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 boop in the background. Boop, boop, boop,
He has to set up these elaborate pulley systems and
when did he have time to do that?
plant the goddamn sword in the ground and just make all these traps for these guys. And when did you have time to do all this stuff? Is this his special murder cave?
He's very good, Trent. He's very good. Generations of trained assassins. That is all they know.
You know what else these guys know, Betsy?
I shudder to ask.
They know about making it with the ladies. Because, good God, was this just gratuitous when it comes to Kelly Hu's character? First of all, you see her in her garb in the tent where it's the beginning of the movie. That's all well and fine.
Yeah, big reveal. It's a sexy lady. We get it.
Yeah. The sorcerer is a sexy lady. Great.
Also, she's not evil. She's going to help you. So we're setting that whole story up somehow.
Yeah, but that's a separate thing. Then later, we go to Gamora because, of course, I already mentioned all the whores out in the promenade.
Who are just like, oh, hi, here's a strong man.
We can take care of you.
Come in. Let's go.
Yeah, of course. Then later, when he's in the palace, he's, again, skulking around, and he goes into this bathhouse area thing where it's the fucking money shot of the movie when it comes to her anyway. She's got a thing of hair over one of her boobs, and she's like whipping the rest of her hair back. And because it's a PG-13 movie and it's for a bunch of teenage boys, you can't have everything on screen. But good God, did they push the limit on this?
Everything that has to be covered is covered up. Nothing else is.
Yeah. And again, I use the word gratuitous because at no time does this need to be there.
And she's basically naked the rest of the movie.
Yeah, they get her a little bit of garb to cover up with, but barely.
They wrap her up in this gauze, strategically placed gauze, but she has a slit all the way up her side and all the way up the other side.
All the way up to her hip.
And at one point in the movie, he gets stabbed by an arrow that is coated in scorpion venom, and she has to resuscitate him, and she straddles him. Yeah. And I'm like, good God, cover it up. Like, seriously, I wasn't even convinced there was something going between. It just looked like it was covering the front and the back.
Yeah, she is straddling him fucking bare ass naked, basically.
Naked.
And sucks out the venom from his face.
And then later when they go to, I don't even remember if it was before or after, but I guess it was after, when they're at Michael Clark Duncan's village, they fully have sex. But of course we don't see any of it. They have like one little kiss. He like lays her on the bed, cut to, again, she's naked.
She's completely naked in that one. But again, strategically placed everything. You can't see a thing. Then we cut over to Michael Clark Duncan, who is with two ladies. But I skipped over one of the parts. When they wake up in the desert, she tries to get away, but she finds out that she's got a rope around her ankle. He straight up gets on top of her, and she's got like the thigh, like the thigh is like center frame in this shot, where that is the thing that you are looking at.
The dress has come up, and all you see is leg up to her, like her waist, basically.
Basically, yeah. And literally, there is a music thing, which I want to talk about music a little bit here. There is a musical theme here that is like the love theme from Star Wars. It's really overt and really embarrassing. It's so bad.
We took that kind of a theme and then interpolated it for a million cheesy movies afterwards.
Kinda. But up to this point, there hasn't been any kind of hint at a romantic... Again, I go back to this all the fucking time. Why do you need to throw in romance into your goddamn action movie?
There's no flirtation. There's no chemistry. There's nothing to suggest that you two want this to happen.
None.
It just happens. And we're like, okay, why?
Again, it goes back to the fact that this is just a generic-ass action movie that has no core to it whatsoever.
Well, and keep in mind, Trent, her virginity is also protecting her superpowers.
Of course. That's another Robin Hood thing.
If she loses her chastity belt, she's going to not be able to see into the future anymore.
That's right.
She loses her psychic powers.
At least that's what I tell the boys at the playground.
Yeah, but it's also bullshit because she's smarter. She got some wiles. Yeah. She got her womanly wiles.
That's just what she told the guy.
Like, she's probably arguably the best thing in the movie. Not that she has a ton to do, but
I mean,
it's also not a very heavy race we're running.
I would say acting-wise,
yeah,
you're right. Not that she has much to do.
Well, and there's the scene like at the end where she goes back to the king guy and he says, "There's something different about you."
Right.
Yeah, she got some. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And so he puts her to the test and like makes her put her hand in jars full of cobras.
Okay. I have a big ass problem with this, and this is
such a stupid thing to be mad about.
This is just me, but the table that has all the jars on it, I think there's 6 jars that he puts on there. Number one, they already have the circles of where to put all the jars. So is this his special table? Does he do this a lot?
Kind of seems like it.
Kind of seems like this is his thing.
He had lots of cobras just sitting around.
Yeah. But no, my biggest issue with this is in whatever year this is, whatever time period this is taking place, there's no fucking way that there would be any kind of invention by this point to have there be rollers on this table to go around and around and around.
Trent, what did I say 10 minutes ago? Who does he have living at this palace? An eccentric inventor who is making things that don't belong in this era.
Dynamite just blows shit up, Betsy.
He also made a catapult. He also made a bunch of other tchotchkes in his laboratory.
No, I don't think he's got the tech.
I think he could handle a spinny table. He could make himself a lazy Susan.
Ball bearings did not exist in this time.
He's a fucking genius. You are underestimating his ability to make things turn. Okay?
All right, fine.
You know, you have a problem with that. You know what I have a problem with?
What do you have a problem with, Betsy?
At the end of the movie, he defeats the bad guy. The people are saved. He becomes the king now.
Yep.
And Michael Clark Duncan is going to go back to his village and he looks him dead in the eyes and he says, "Good luck to you, Scorpion King."
Yep.
Where the fuck did this come from? Nobody at any point has ever used the words "the Scorpion King." It has not come up once.
No.
And all of a sudden, he just looks him in the eye and like says it and winks and rides into the sunset.
There are 2 references here to scorpions in this movie, okay? One of them is when the bad guy is using scorpion venom. He like cuts the tails off of a scorpion and dips the arrowhead into the venom, and that's what he gets stabbed with in the sandstorm.
Again, that was done very vaguely. I missed it when it happened.
Yes, but it did happen. You do recognize that.
I will accept it. It doesn't mean I saw it.
Okay, fine. But the other reference to scorpions is a very tossed off thing. They don't call attention to it, but I think there is some big ass statue in front of the palace, and there is an emblem on this statue. It's a statue of a man, presumably him. But on the front of the statue is an emblem of a scorpion. So possibly whoever rules this kingdom, whatever you want to call it, is considered the Scorpion King.
But he was not himself adorned in anything scorpion.
Not at all.
I could understand this leap if he had been covered in it. I can make any kind of leap you want me to if there was some context to it. But it has no context. All of a sudden, it's like they forgot what movie they were making and they'd better throw something in so people remember, oh yeah, that's what we're watching.
The only thing I can think of here is just maybe he got a reputation for using the scorpion venom in battle, and that's why he's this cowardly king, because he uses poison.
But why would you then call Matthias the Rock? Why would you call him that?
That's a great question. I don't know.
It's the thing I said at the beginning. It feels like they had a script, and then they said, this will be the Scorpion King movie because it's here.
They couldn't find another contrivance.
And it's not like there is absolutely no connection to the writing cast. The first name I saw was Stephen Sommers, the guy who directed the original Mummy movie in 1999. So there are direct ties to those first movies to the Scorpion King. And yet we still did this movie. This is what we did. And then we made 4 more of them?
By the way, I think this same producer you're talking about was involved in all of these movies.
I'll bet he was.
Yeah.
It's probably because he has some kind of legal rights to it. It's not that he actually actively participated that much.
But Betsy, I mean, there's a reason why they continue to make more and more and more of these movies, regardless of the fact that The Rock was involved. He wasn't.
He wasn't in any more.
No.
This was the only one he made, and then he went on to bigger and better things.
This movie had a $60 million budget.
Jesus Christ.
Of that, $5.5 million was for The Rock himself, the highest salary ever given to a first-time lead actor.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. But my point to that is they made 3 times their $60 million budget. They made $180 million off of this dog shit.
My mouth is so agape right now because this movie, that doesn't make any sense, but also it makes all the sense in the world.
Why do you think that the aura around The Rock became so hot?
So
Because
fast.
he was box office magic.
Yeah.
His only bomb, to my knowledge, at least the famous one anyway, is Black Adam. That
And that's
had a
pretty
huge,
recent.
huge budget, and it fucking bombed.
I think there was one other movie that kind of bombed, but he has gone that trajectory of like Tom Cruise, where I don't make bombs. Like I make very specific kinds of movies, and I like to have a lot of control over what I do. Black Adam is a fluke in the world of The Rock. He might not make great movies, but they're successful movies. There is a difference. He makes movies that make money. And it all started with this. He made this fucking trash, and it made a ton of money, and it made his entire career. It's utterly bizarre, but okay.
When you mentioned Tom Cruise here, and I think about these two guys in kind of the same vein in the fact that neither of them really make sequels to their movies.
They have a series that they are known for, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, besides the Fast and Furious movies, which those are not really him. He is a very, very secondary character.
He got tacked on late in the game.
Yeah, and there's also Moana. He did a sequel to that one, but he's not really on screen, so it's a different thing. And with Tom Cruise, it's all the Mission Impossible movies, but I think the only other one I can think of is Top Gun. And that's just kind of he's passing it off. It's barely even him.
I like how we naturally got to a place in this conversation where we're talking about Tom Cruise, considering he's the only other actor who has made a Mummy movie.
Oh my God, yeah.
We haven't watched it because it's also supposed to be pretty bad. But
yeah. And there's also a third Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser that I haven't seen either.
Someday, Trent.
You're going to force this on me?
Just like you made me watch The Scorpion King. You'd better fucking believe.
Oh, man.
This movie, this experience alone has just sealed your fate that you are going to watch The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
When we do another bad movie series, I think you can count on that one coming up.
Or whenever the fuck I feel like enforcing it is what I'm saying.
All right.
Well, I only have one other thing, Trent, that I wanted to bring up because I kind of pieced out at the end of the movie because I had had enough. But I heard you kind of say something out loud as I was walking away because there is a song in the credits of this movie.
There is.
And I was just like, wait, oh yeah, there's a memory jostling free. What was that song?
That was I Stand Alone by Godsmack.
And the thing about it specifically being, it was made for this movie?
It was made for this movie.
Okay. Good for them. Good for them. That was one of those songs that I feel like was kind of everywhere in 2002, but maybe it's just because where we live, rock music is just really prevalent.
I mean, this is back in my era where that was just kind of my kind of music that I listened to all the time.
You were an angry little white boy in the Midwest with nothing better to do than sulk and feel your feelings.
That's kind of what we did around here.
That is why rock music is so popular.
But that was the other thing I wanted to mention when it comes to just the music or even the score of the movie. I mentioned the love theme earlier, but the music in the movie just keeps on hopping between like modern rock, like generic modern rock, but then also it switches kind of in the middle of a fight scene to a very Middle Eastern kind of an instrumentation.
But then it's like symphonic score, like traditional scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it switches back over to modern rock.
Too much of this, not enough of that. Too much of everything.
Completely inconsistent.
Oh, yeah. They did not know what the fuck they were doing with the score.
No, and so far, 2 for 2 in terrible, terrible scoring of our first 2 bad movies.
We'll see if that carries through. I suspect at least one more is going to have that problem.
It just tells you how important music is to movies because you notice stuff like this.
And how they didn't spend money on the right things for this movie.
Yeah. All right, I think I'm about done talking about the Scorpion King. I'm sorry, Betsy. I know you really wanted to stick around and keep on talking here.
You're not sorry. You've wanted this forever, and now you got it.
I really have. Not just to torture you, because I do love to do that sometimes.
You son of a bitch.
But, you know, I saw this movie over 20 years ago, and I didn't remember a goddamn thing except for the really, really cheesy stuff like the people's eyebrow and the Kelly Hugh moment in the bath where she comes up because, hey, I might have paused that sequence a couple of different times in my youth.
You were young once.
I was. I still enjoyed it today. But yeah, all of the really, really iconic things from the movie. Like there's even a line reading from Michael Clark Duncan that I think is in the trailer. It's just a bad line. It's like, you will fight for us in the battle. I don't remember what the exact line is.
Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it's really bad. And this movie is pretty bad. But all things considered here, do you think that you would ever watch this movie again, even for fun? I mean, we talked about it with Gigli a little bit. I don't think you'll ever watch Gigli again. I would, but only in a setting where I would be making fun of it with friends. Could you have the same sentiment about this one?
In this moment, no. I'm saying no. But I also know you, and sometimes you throw things on. It's how much I resist you letting it play on the TV. Do I leave the room? Do I go along with it? Please don't play this movie. I don't want to find out, at least in the very near future.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, Betsy, for enduring with me. That is movie 2 of 4 of our Bad Movie series. If you would like to tell us what you think about The Scorpion King, this movie, any of the sequels, or you can just, I guess, talk to us about the 2 Mummy movies as well.
Tell me nice things about a good movie while we're at it here.
Yeah. Email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. I'm going to try to end this without completely losing my voice here. But we did get a couple of emails about a non-Oscar movie when we took a little bit of a break during our Oscar season. We got 2 emails about the movie Walk Hard. The first one, of course, is from our superfan Stephanie, where she says, "This movie is so fucking funny. It follows the biopic movie tropes perfectly. The cast is great. John C. Reilly is fantastic. Give him all the Oscars. Jenna Fisher is good, and the supporting cast is hilarious." This is, of course, back at the beginning of February when we got this, so apologies. She says, "There are so many Oscar movies left to watch for me. Why do they all cost money? I hope to watch some this week. This past weekend, we watched Monkey Man, which is great. Dev Patel is an absolute action star. I love him. Anyway, I love you guys." From superfan Stephanie.
We still haven't seen Monkey Man.
I want to see Monkey Man.
Me.
We will watch it eventually. I just don't know where we're going to fit it in. We also got an email from Mitch from Saskatoon. A lot of talk about Canadians lately. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I can't imagine why.
You causing trouble up there. Do we need to come up there and make you something? Anyway, he also emails about Walk Hard, saying, "Hello, friends. First of all, I am humbled and honored to be upgraded to superfan status. I was not expecting this and will carry the badge with honor and respect. You deserved it, Mitch. Congratulations."
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Don't give him too much credit, though.
Okay, you're just a guy.
He says, I am so glad that you covered Walk Hard. I too have not seen this movie since it was in the theater. I have debated rewatching it in the past, but this episode only fires me up to try my own at-home version of Second Chance Cinema. Hey, that's a thing we do over on Patreon. Sometimes. It's where we watch a movie that we didn't necessarily like all that much the first time we watch it, and we watch it again. He says, I loved it the first time, hoping to enjoy it as much as Trent did. My favorite biopic is still weird, so I guess I have a new favorite genre? Question mark?
The fake biopic?
Yeah.
That is a biopic? That isn't a biopic?
There just needs to be more of them to
Yes.
throw in the genre.
Correct.
Looking forward to your big Oscar show. It inspires me each and every year. I hope to catch up on last year's big movies as they're all well available. Until next time, thaw out down south. Mitcheroo. Well, thank you very much, Mitch. Every time we hear from you, it makes us smile.
Another email that was sent to us a few weeks ago.
Just a little while ago.
We've just been playing catch up because there was a lot of content around that time.
We also don't like to read non-Oscar movie emails during Oscar season.
Not always.
So
we also aren't usually covering non-Oscar movies sandwiched in there. It just worked
Correct.
out that way this year.
We just had an extra slot in there, so Walk Hard went in there.
So I hope that you have since been able to watch that movie.
Yeah.
We would love to hear your thoughts post-viewing.
And I've kept thinking about Walk Hard, not just the movie, but the music as well. I downloaded the soundtrack a while back, and I just, it's one of my new favorites.
Trent, it's my goal to have the weirdest Spotify Wrapped this year, where my top listen is fucking Dewey Cox. That's what I want. I want him to be my number one artist, just
love it.
because I love an elaborate joke. I don't know if I'll get there. I need to go back and play
it's
it
not
some
even
more.
going to show as Dewey Cox. It's John C. Reilly, because that's how he's credited in that.
Also acceptable.
Yeah.
Because I kind of just let it shuffle when I was listening to it after we watched the movie. And I didn't even know he put out like an album of Irish jig songs. I don't know. It's like
He has
Irish,
a bunch of other shit, yeah.
Irish music. Because, Riley, he's very Irish.
Yeah.
So I spent a great deal of time listening to him. I just got to go back and do it. If he was my number one artist on Spotify this year, I wouldn't be upset about it. Just saying.
And you don't even really use Spotify all that much.
I really don't, which is why it's a good probability that I could manipulate it to make that happen.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
I love an elaborate joke, Trent. So sue me.
Well, thank you again, Mitch and Stephanie, for emailing us about Walk Hard. Again, anytime you want to email us about any movie you want, email address is neverseenitpod@gmail.com. And like I mentioned, over at patreon.com/neverseenitpod, we have 2 episodes available under the Second Chance Cinema banner, where again, we watch a movie that we have seen well in the past. Maybe one of us didn't really like it all that much, and we revisit it to see if our moods change.
But we have plans to revisit that again.
Eventually,
that's
yes,
going to be a
definitely.
recurring series,
Yeah,
just
it's-
not as regular.
Yeah, it's not a monthly thing, but I think so far we've done 2. We did A Scanner Darkly the first time, and the second one we just did, I think, last month or 2 months ago, was Inception.
Make of that what you will.
Yeah.
Or better yet, go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod and figure out why we watched Inception on that
right.
show.
That's right. Do what Betsy says. Patreon.com/neverseenitpod. By the way, this just started on our page. If you do want to sign up, I would highly recommend you don't use the iPhone app to do it because it's going to charge you extra money. That's not us. Go to the actual website on a computer and sign up via that. Don't use the app. You can use the app afterwards to look at everything and listen to stuff. Just don't do it to pay us. But with that is going to be the end of our second bad movie. Betsy, next week, we got another one coming up. What are we doing?
We are going back to the 90s, Trent, for a movie that I have seen that you have not, but there is one element of it you're very familiar with. That's right, we are going to be watching the Will Smith, Kevin Kline movie, Wild Wild West.
I can't fucking wait. I've wanted to see this movie forever. I know it's bad, and I know there's a lot of history behind it, and I cannot wait to talk about it with you. But until then, Betsy, this has been another episode of Never Seen It. My name's Trent.
And my name is Betsy.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.